This episode is brought to you by KNC Designs. Engraving metal, glass, wood. Christmas is around the corner and you don't know what to gift that special someone. Give them a personalized water flask, coffee tumbler, coffee mug, you name it, they have it. Over at KNC Designs, they'll do above and beyond to make your order as smooth and personalized as possible. For limited time only, they're giving out 15% off. 15%, let me say that again. 15% off your entire order. They will ship anywhere across the world, and tell them I sent you with my code TBPM15 off. Link will be in the bio. Don't miss out, guys. Thank you. Buenas noches, Corillo, ¿cómo han estado? Se viene la Navidad, se viene la Christmas, se viene el Año Nuevo y no sigues haciendo nada. Así que déjate de cosas y dale like a este podcast. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the BPM podcast, the coolest podcast in the world, where you get to meet me, the crazy person, where I just let everything go. I don't hold back with anything or anyone, or I just let my mind run free once a week. The rest of the week, I keep it pent up in a cage where all these crazy ideas that I have or crazy points of views take place, and it's got me in trouble a couple times. I get myself in trouble because I don't filter anything. It, and it's like a double-edged sword in some sorts, right? Because you you tend to weed out people that they're gonna judge you for what you just said or for how you think. And then you're gonna get people that are like, oh, I like that because he's speaking his mind, and there's no filter, and he's raw, and he's he's real, and real's not for everyone nowadays. Being open about how you feel about certain topics is if it doesn't align with their points of view, you almost get left out, which is fine. You know what I mean? Like, we all have, excuse me, we all have uh, different lives, different stories, and we react to things different on on a lot of things depending on your background, right? And not racially background, on just how your story has been written from the past, right? And so many people get stuck in the past, um, me myself included, right? Like, I've gotten definitely stuck on mistakes that I've made, and didn't realize I was getting stuck on the past, on things that don't no longer define me as a person today. But when you're in the thick of it, you don't really you can't really see through the fog, right? It's and some people get to see through it right away, and some of us don't, and it takes us a while, and some never do. Some get stuck in high school, right? You have that person like, oh, in high school I was, like, a top athlete. I was, doing this, doing that, and they never get to outgrow that person. They never get to realize. I've said this before on the podcast. Sometimes adults forget they're adults, right? They make decisions as if they were still young and their teens. Um, and I get it, right? It might be a mechanism of defense for them to where they feel safe is what they know. how you feel safe. You felt safe then, so like that's like your brain is like, oh, well, let's just go back there because that's the best part because today sucks. But that time we had the best time of our lives. I had some really good fun in high school. Like we all should. Like every kid in high school should have fun. Remember, like growing into a young adult, going through changes, skipping through school, getting into trouble, you know. All those things are part of growing up, and you should do in that. I think you gotta get them out of your system, like right now. If you're in your teens, you gotta get it out now. Um, I'm driving my son to school this morning. This is why, like, it was so it, it impacted me. Like, me and my son are having a conversation about a completely different topic than this. We're talking about uh, the new video game, God of War, right? Uh, and he's nerding out, and I'm not into video games like that, but he's nerding out, so I'm just like, interesting, right? I'm asking questions like, so what do you think? And he's like, oh, it's the best game ever, blah, 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 and then we're stuck in traffic about to turn into a school, um, and the car in front of us is not moving, right? So I'm like, what's going on? And I see the driver kind of throw like a overhook over to the passenger, and I'm like, oh, somebody's fighting at 7:30 in the morning. I'm like, someone has chosen violence today. So I let it go for a couple seconds, and then it gets more crazy. She lets go of the wheel and starts wailing at this guy. I knew it was a guy afterwards, but I didn't know it then. And car starts honking. Like from the other side of the school, they see it happening. So they start honking, and this girl moves the car forward a little bit, and the guy's trying to get out, and then she floors it. So the door shuts again, and then she stops and keeps on beating him. He didn't never threw a punch at her. He was just trying to protect, duck, and dive, like fucking Mayweather in the morning. Um, and then she U-turned, and he got out of the car like nothing happened. And I'm like, did you see that? To my son. And he's like, that's my friend Eric. That's his girlfriend. I'm like, what? How old is his girlfriend? He's like, 18. And how old is he? 16. I'm like, oh, okay. Nothing wrong there, but homegirl out here beating on little kids. Girl, wait till his sister or his cousin finds out, girl. They gonna beat your ass at the Walmart. Sharkeisha. Kids nowadays are crazy. 7 in the morning, you beating on another. He's trying to go learn. He ain't gonna learn nothing. He gonna cry in the bathroom, and it's over. The day is over. Right before Christmas. What are you doing to him? What is it so foul that you needed to put your hands on him? But if it was the other way around, right? If that little boy struck this girl or pulled her by her hair, everybody be outrageous. Everybody would be outraged. I can't even speak this morning. I'm so fucking amped up on coffee. That's why. Um, if the roles were reversed, I feel a certain way, right? You would feel a certain way. You be angry. You want to burn that boy, 16-year-old boy, out on the streets for hitting on a girl. But I'm kind of curious. Curious. What happened? What did she turn violent? You know? I've never had a relationship get to that point where it became to physical confrontation. We all had arguments, vocal arguments, right? And it's not pretty. You say some foul shit that you regret. but you said it already. So now you gotta make amends. I wonder. Um, I dated this. I dated this girl that she had been in every single relationship of hers had been physically abused by her partners, and she was damaged goods. All right, there were some triggers, there were some flags, definitely that she would get triggered by things that I said or things that I did, and it's not my fault that she's like that, right? But it's not my place to fix her. It wasn't my place. I felt like it was time to move on because there's nothing I can do for her that's gonna make. Maybe there is. Maybe I just didn't want to do it. But she threatened me one time, and that's when I realized that this girl was not okay. She goes, "If you ever try to touch me, hit me, I will kill you." I was like, "What?" She goes, "I'm warning you. Don't ever try it." And I'm like, "Okay." And she goes, "You cannot punch me hard enough to make me go to sleep." I was like, "This bitch is crazy. You cannot punch me hard enough to go to sleep." Okay. So to anyone that thinks that hitting a woman it's okay or is normal or there is eh, you might not even think it's normal, you might think it's fucked up, but are you still doing it? You go fuck yourself. Right? So this little interaction, not even an interaction, uh this event that me and my son got to witness triggered like this memory of a friend of mine from high school that his dad would come home and beat the living crap out of his mom and all of his siblings to the point where like the only response that his mom had was, "I'm gonna wait for him to pass the fuck out and then I'm gonna beat him with a golf club." Almost killed him. She almost killed him. But who knows how many years this had been going on, right? Uh, and he would miss school all the time. He's like, "I can't go to school." I was stopped by his house. I'm like, "Yo, where'd you go? Where did you go to school?" I'm like, "I don't give a fuck if you don't learn, but like, where were you, dog?" You know what I mean? And he's like, he would take his jacket off and fucking bruised up. Where his dad beat him like a man. Never hit him in his face, but he fucking wailed at him like like a grown man. And this boy is skinny as fuck, probably malnourished. So it's Christmas time. We should all be just focusing on the things that matter. Presents. Nothing else matters other than presents. Yeah, I want to be with my family. No, you don't. Because if that's what we make this one day. That's how much we want to put up with our families. Like we want to make one day out of the year that nobody works, everything's closed, so you can go put up with your family. Do you know how insane that sounds? The only thing that's open is Chinese restaurants and the theater. Because I know. I went to watch Lord of the Rings every Christmas because I didn't want to be with my family. I'm like, y'all fucking too much. Every year I went to watch Lord of the Rings, and I liked it, but I don't, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like, oh my god, this is my movie. I'm a die-hard fan. No, I just went to watch it because it was 3 hours long. It meant that I was gonna be out of the house for at least 5 hours, and by the time I got back, everybody was worn out from fighting each other. Because that's how my family is. My family, they can't be together because they start right away fighting. Oh, you're fat. Oh, you're this. Oh, it's not even like good banter, the kind I like where you make fun of each other. It's like hateful shit. Like I can't, it's so crazy that you can't choose your family. Uh, this the family I was brought into, so I was like, I guess I gotta find a. I even joined a dance fucking club folklorico in high school, so I didn't wanna, you know what I mean? I didn't have to be around my mom. because she's an evil lady. I didn't want to be around her if I didn't have to. It's so bad that I didn't even go to my sister's wedding. That's how bad the family is. I'm like, and if you understand where I'm coming from, I was essentially abandoned by my mom at my great grandma's house. She's like, I'm going to the pharmacy. I was 2 days old. I'm going to the pharmacy. Uh, I'll be back. It's fucking 15 years later, she came back. I was like, oh, cool. You're my mom? Awesome. Oh, that's my sister? Cool. Oh, that's my other sister? Cool. Um, but there was never like that, they're like, oh, I miss my mom connection because I was always trying to survive. Me addressing my feelings was not an option because I had to like fend for myself for most things. Was there some sad moments where like I see my friends with their moms and I'm like, here comes my grandma, right? Of course, yeah. That fucks with you to a level, but like it's not like permanent in my mind. It was then, and then I was like, oh, the fucking bullies are. I'm back. Like, what am I gonna do? Worry about my mom? No, I gotta worry about myself right now, today. So there was never that connection with me and my mom, and my dad was a Rolling Stone, right? So I tell people, and this is where people um, either don't understand where I come from, but I tell them I'm an only child because I am. I have four siblings that I don't talk. We don't see each other for years. I'm an only child. And that's okay with me. And I battle this because I'm like, "Ah, fuck, my kids don't know their grandma. Like that's the only thing that bothers me that 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 they don't get to experience that aspect. But in return, when my kids have kids, they'll get to have a grandpa that's present, a grandpa that's loving, that cares, you know, the typical grandpa. I'm I'm choosing not to like be with my family so my kids don't get to experience that part of the family. And I'm not saying like I reject my entire family, just my mom and my siblings. That's about it. This is so crazy. Listen, this is how much we don't like each other or we don't want to be around each other because I go to Target and we're looking for, I don't know what we're looking for in the electronics section. And I hear two kids talking to their mom and they're not facing us, it's me and my kids. So we skip to another aisle and they skip through the other side and we come face to face and it is my older sister with her two kids. We made eye contact. We realized who we were and we both turned around. And that was the first time I saw her in 5 years, something like that. Five. Last time I saw her was 5 years ago. And then again, I saw her like weeks later at a park playing with her kids. I take my kids to the park all the time. They love going to the park. We play basketball, we play catch, whatever. But I feel somebody's like looking at me. But I'm with my daughter in this like maze thing of like jumping thingies or whatever. I don't know what it's called. It's like a pyramid, and we're like up and down of it. And then my son's like, Dad, that lady's looking at you. And I'm like, and I look over and it's her again. I'm like, oh shit. But now there's no escaping. If you're at the park playing in the playground, we're gonna bump into each other, whatever, because that's what we do, right? Then I notice her go take a seat far away from the playground, and her kids are still there. Her kids don't know who I am. My kids don't know who she is. I told them after that Target incident who she was, and they had so many questions, right? Um, Damn, this got deep. I feel like a goddamn preacher right now. No, and I think it's the thing about me is I don't want to be involved in any drama. Family should be where the drama gets dissolved. The outside world doesn't matter. We accept each other with our flaws and our successes and our the things that makes us us. That's where family you should feel safe. Shouldn't feel like the outside, right? The outside doesn't matter, but that's not the case. It's like, and that's why my family's spread out. I have family in Guadalajara. I have family in Chicago, California, here. I have family in the northern part of Mexico, the middle part of Mexico, and I think I have a cousin in Chile. She's going to school out there, um, but it is part of our tree to be dispersed in the world. And that's what I tell you guys, Mexicans, we don't care. We are born everywhere. I want to have a child in Hawaii though, with a big Samoan girl. No, I'm just playing. No more kids for me. None. Zero. Zerch. This got a little crazy, huh? Thank you for listening. Listen, if you haven't subscribed yet and liked and shared my podcast with your friends and loved ones this Christmas, put on it. Put it on there. When you go to the Christmas party today, just play Back Porch Mexican and watch everybody either like it or dislike it, but do it for me, please. Follow me on my YouTube channel, my TikTok account, my Instagram account, Twitter, everything under the Back Porch Mexican. And that was a little bit of an eye opening moment. That girl hitting that kid. Because now whatever happens, it almost happens in school grounds, and if she's an adult and he's a kid, she could be in trouble. If she's 18, she's an adult, and I I have the if you get hit, no matter how hard, you hit back. That's plain. That's the only thing to make. I teach my daughter that if someone hits you, don't fucking cry. Not there. Hit back because being bullied sucks. I was bullied up to the fourth grade. This kid, Pablo Hamon. I don't know if I told this story here yet. I think I have. Pablo Hamon was 3 years older than I was. Or no, 2 years old. I was in fourth. He was in sixth grade. Um, and he lived around the school, like a block away from the school. So I had to walk through his neighborhood to get to my school. And he always fucking messed. And he was tall for a fucking Mexican, because I'm tall, 5'7". That's very tall for a Mexican. I'm fucking. If I go back in Mexico, I'm a giant. But here, not so much. I didn't realize that. So, um, picking on me. And this one time, he fucked me up, and I was scared to fight. I don't know why I was scared. It's just, like, no one ever taught me how to fight. No one ever taught me how to defend myself. Nothing. And I was scared. And one day I was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. I'm not gonna. I got tired of feeling scared and helpless. Like, no one helps you. No, nobody's gonna be like, hey, leave him alone. Fuck that. They want to see a show. You're putting up a show, so get at it. So I went to my grandma's she shed, and she had a bunch of gardening tools, and she had this like out of place screwdriver, long ass screwdriver. I'm talking about at least 20 inches. Nah, not that big. Like 15-inch screwdriver, and it had a wooden handle on it. It was a flathead screwdriver with a wooden red handle. And I was like, it was winter time. I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna take it to school. And I would go to lunch before he did. And I stuffed it in my jacket and my on my arm, and I was holding it by the handle, and the metal part was up to my elbow, right? Like this. Uh, and I would be in line to get lunch, and he always fucking pulled me and sat me down and laughed. Ha ha. and call me names and like fuck. I got big ass ears, you know what I mean? So that was the main focus of everybody's. All right, look at his fucking big ass ears. Uh, Luckily, my head grew into my ears, so they look okay now. It's still pretty big, but that was like a super insecure part of me growing up. And this time, I wasn't facing the cafeteria line. I was facing my back, so I want to see him coming. And here he comes, and before he even stepped into my personal space, I pull that fucker out and I hit him with the wooden part, not the metal part. I hit him with the wooden part. Thank God. I still cracked his fucking head open with it because I hit him like 6 times. The first blow, he was like shocked. He was like, "Oh shit, what's happening?" And I kept hitting him, and then now they pull us apart. He's been fucking doing this shit for 4 years. Now they want to pull us apart. I was like, cool. But then I got really scared, right? Because he's like, "I'm going to wait for you outside after school." I was like, fuck. Okay. Well, they didn't let me stay in school. They called my grandma. She came and picked me up, and I got expelled. So no, now I can't go to that school. I have to figure something out. So my grandma made the case that I couldn't go to the other school because it was too far and we didn't have any money and blah blah blah. So they let me back in school, but I couldn't misbehave or I was really really out. Okay, I'm in 4th grade. I don't remember much. I just remember him fucking Pablo Hamon. Go fuck yourself, bitch. No, not. It's not even like that. He was probably getting beaten at home. You know, what I mean, now that I am an adult and I see how mean kids are, there's some shit going on at home. You know, for sure. Their dad beats their mom or whatever. But that was the last time he fucked with me. That was the end of it all. The end of it all. His sister, we became good friends afterwards. She was battling cancer. I remember like feeling so sad for her. She was battling cancer, and I didn't know she was battling. I didn't know why she was bald. I didn't know why she was like she had no hair. And she wore these cute little crochet hats. Lily was her name, and I don't know if she's still alive or not. But I would walk her from school to her house, and Pablo never came out, never said anything. And we weren't dating, but we just walk and have fun. And she like her family like would say hi to me if they were outside, but it was nothing like that. But that was the last time and then I realized like, okay, if you let motherfuckers step over you, they're gonna step over you. But if you put up a fight, even if you don't win, even if you lose, that brings a little bit of respect. Like they can't just punk you now. And I teach my daughter that. My son, he better his mom will fuck him up. If he comes home fucked up, his mom will fuck him up. I know, right? Uh, but my daughter was being bullied, and then I was like, you know what? Let's do jujitsu. So we put her in jujitsu. We all did jujitsu, and she became the bully. She became the bully, and I'm like, yo, you can't do that. You can't be bullied just because now no one can touch you because you could fucking choke motherfuckers out. You can't do that. Can't can't become what what you hated. And she's like, I understand. She's much better now. But it's a parenting thing, right? You got to teach your kids um, what's right and what's wrong, and you got to let them express themselves, right? I was never allowed to express myself on how I felt because I couldn't deal. I didn't have time to like dive into my emotional state when I was trying to survive every day. You know what I mean? There was one time. This is in uh, 7th grade or 8th grade, one of the two. And the high school, not the high school, junior high was far from my house. Far. Like, I'm talking from one side of the town to the other. This is the bullshit ass school system in Mexico. So sometimes my grandma would give me only money to catch the bus back and forth, and she didn't have money to give me for lunch. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna be hungry. I ain't catching the bus, so I'm saving the money for lunch. So I will stop at a red light and wait for a truck, and I'll be like, hey, I'm going to school. You give me a ride, and I'll hop in the back of the truck. But this one time, this fucker didn't stop. Right? All the lights were green, and I'm like, fuck. And we're going towards the outside of town, like to like the desert area, right? Where I'm like, fuck, right? And I'm in seventh grade, I think. So he had some shit laying on the back of the truck, some cinder blacks. And I grabbed one and I fucking threw it on the hood. I'm like, yo, fucking, I'm still back here. He's like, oh, I forgot. I'm like, yeah, you forgot, motherfucker. No, fuck you. So I hopped out and I walked back like 3 miles. Not even 3 miles, like maybe a mile, right? The last light was about 6 blocks ahead of us. And I was like, if I don't fucking stop, if I don't get out of this truck right now, I'm going to get fucking raped and murdered or something, right? So I grabbed one of those cinder blocks and I threw it on the hood and he fucking slammed on the brakes. I was like, yo, I got to get out. Fuck you. But, I was always trying to survive. So there was no dealing my emotions and my emotional state or my mental health. There was none of that. Fuck no. So now I get to express myself and now to heal those wounds or heal that trauma and move on and try to be a better person for the people around me. And I had this discussion with a couple parents and a couple non-parents, people that don't have kids, about tantrums, right? Kids don't throwing a tantrum. It's a natural thing. Well, what should I do? Should I buy them whatever they want? No, you're not supposed to buy them nothing, but you're not supposed to tell them not to throw a tantrum. Let them express themselves. Let them feel the rage. Let them feel the happiness. All these emotions are supposed to be felt and expressed. They're not supposed to be, like suppressed. You end up getting fucked up if you suppress any emotion. And we fail to see, just because the little human being is throwing a tantrum doesn't mean that people are scared. They're like, oh, he's throwing a tantrum. That's a reflection of my parenting. No, it's not. You don't think kids throw tantrums everywhere with the most successful people? However you want to measure that. You don't think like John the Pope threw tantrums when he was a little kid? Or Vladimir Putin? Or George Washington? Everyone. It's a normal human behavior. You don't have words. What are you going to do? It's the only thing you know how to do. But, so they were telling me that, like, letting them throw a tantrum and giving them the talk right before they step into a store, be like, hey, I'm not getting you anything. Don't say nothing. So now you're conditioning your kid to be like, okay, I can't ask for nothing, even if I want something. Maybe that's oversimplifying it, right? Like you talk to them like, hey, we're going to the store, just buy groceries, no toys, no candy, no nothing. That's normal. That's okay. Is it normal or is it okay? That's where it comes crazy, right? Because now you're telling them to suppress uh, uh, an emotion, right? And then that's not healthy. I don't think it's healthy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. I'm not saying you should give in to every tantrum, but you shouldn't suppress it. Let it happen. Let them fucking cry their little lungs out. They're gonna figure out pretty soon. They're like, hey, maybe I'm approaching the problem, you know, from a wrong angle. Maybe I should fucking, behave and do this and do that. And now that's still kind of out there. It's still kind of right. Now you're rewarding good behavior, which you should do, but also now you have them realize that, oh, if I behave like this, I'm gonna get this, and it's not always the case. You could do everything right. All the things you can imagine, you could do them right. You could be the best you can be, and still shit's gonna be fucked up. Shit's not gonna turn out the way you want it. And that's the lesson that sports give you, right? Especially my favorite sport, combat sport, right? You could train your ass off and you still might lose, and that's okay. And I think that's what these kids nowadays are missing. They're missing the like, hey, you might fail a couple times, and it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Stop judging yourself for something from the past. Stop judging yourself on shortcomings. If anything, you learn a way how not to do it. So now you're like, okay, I can fucking go a different route and figure it out. And if that's not the route, hey, as long as you don't give up on yourself. That's one thing I don't do. I don't give up on myself, and I don't know when to give up until it starts hurting. Then if it hurts, then I'm out. Right? If it hurts physically, I'm out. Emotionally, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm emotional available. I'm trying to be, but the year's almost over. You get a new start the next year to reach your goals, to do whatever that you want to do in life. Life is over before you know it. Life is short. We don't like to think about why life is short. So stop fucking around, you know? If you like making puppets out of fucking recycle bags, go for it. Fall in love with it. Don't worry about nothing else. Actually love what you do, and it'll be better for yourself. This medication helps. No, it does not help you. The fucking Neanderthals weren't on fucking antidepressants and all this nonsense. The pills will never fix. They just mitigate. Medication will never fix it. There's a it, you're treating it. You're not curing it. You're just treating the injury. You're not curing it. Especially with medications that have to do with the mind. So many people are on antidepressants, sleeping pills. You know, uh, it's crazy. So it's so crazy that like that's where we heading. We're heading to like a super hyper medicated population that no one's in any shape, way, or form sober dealing with their problems. That's when you know you're a real motherfucker. If you deal with your shit sober, ooh, good luck. You know, good fucking luck. Whiskey kind of helps, but good luck trying to do it without anything. No cigarettes, no coffee, no. Ooh, boy, that's a hard road, but it's worth the squeeze. Get ready. Shit ain't gonna be looking too hot 2023. Get ready. And with that, I'm just gonna say, uh, thank you for listening. Hope you guys have a great afternoon, a great night, a great day, whatever that is. The next thing they're coming for is no longer day. It doesn't identify as day anymore. It identify as enlightenment and darkness. Ew. Stay black, my friends.